Would you introduce yourself for us?
Sure. My name is Manuel F. Nunez, or Manuel Fernando Nunez. I'm the host, and the creator, and the founder of Street Lethal Kali Silat. My title is Tuan Rumah, which means quite simply host in Indo-Malay.
What is your background in these types of fighting systems?
My background is mainly, well, I came into the whole Kali Silat realm mostly through the JKD concepts. I think that most people have had that experience. A few people were lucky enough to be introduced to a certain system of FMA, Filipino martial art, or a system of Indo-Malay fighting on its own. Most of us came through it by way of the JKD concepts. My background is I've trained JKD concepts probably for over a decade.
Mm-hmm.
My first teacher was Afshin Pashai at George Mason University. He was a student under Mike Krivka, and then after him, I trained privately with Jeff Rockwell, who was under Navy SEAL Pat Trey, and he was under Mike Krivka also. Jeff then went on to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I think today he focuses exclusively on BJJ. But he trained me a bit in the Locosti no Santo system, which was inserted Afshin, which was Danny no Santo's system of Kali Eskrima Silat. As Danny no Santo himself is labeled it Kali Eskrima Silat, or Kali Silat, if you will. And it is mainly a Filipino system with a lot of Moro influence, because Johnny Lacoste, converted to Islam and was actually taken in by the Moros and taught their systems. So it has a lot of Silat in it also. Then in addition to that, I've done some training in the Penchak Silat Bukan Chimanapusaka system, a couple of years in there. I did a couple of years in Pikiti Tirsia. I trained in Silat Askari. I'm a guru in Silat Askari. That's Amo Guru Michael Blackgrave's system before designing CMOC, after having the influence of Kali Lustrissimo and Bahazubu under Master Yuli Romo, along with additional Harimau influence under Eric Crook of the Baringan Sakti system. Other systems that have influenced it, the PFS of Paul Vuanek, extremely influential, especially in situational training. Silat Mumbai, very much influential. And the cross-training I've done in other systems. A little bit of cross-training, some cross-training in Mandimuda, and the Sarah, the Tuar family, not just via a specific seminar, but also through people that have trained themselves under the Tuars and were mostly in the Mafilindo Silat system. In addition to that, I've also done a little bit of training in Silat Zulfikari also, up in New York and in Michigan, under Guru Brent Smith and under the son of Sheikh Khan Ansari.
Okay, and what is the historical cultural heritage of Kali Silat systems?
Kali Silat, there's the historical, cultural, and there's also the legendary. There was a certain legend put out that basically, in the Philippines, you had three major regions. You have Luzon, the Visayas, which are the Central Islands, and then Mindanao and the Sulu Archipelago. And the systems of Aramis came from the north, supposedly. The Eskrima came from the Midlands, from the Visayas, and then Kali came from the south, from Mindanao and the Sulu Archipelago. And Kali is actually more of an acronym that Guru Danny no Santo put together. It's actually from Cebuano, which is a Visayan language. It's very closely related to the Tausug language, to the Bahasa Sog, the language of the Sog people, which is a Malay tongue, and it's Proto-Visayan. Now, what Kali means is it's an acronym for Kahut, Lihok. Okay? And Kahut is hand, and Lihok is motion. It's from Cebuano, it's not from Tagalog. Okay? So Kali basically means hand motion. But legendarily, it's supposed to mean the fighting systems that come from the Moros, the Muslims of the south. Okay? Now, Silat, okay, refers to the fighting systems of the Indo-Malays as well as, technically, the southern Philippines, the Muslim fighting systems. Now, I know some people are going to say, but not all Silat systems are Muslim fighting systems. In Bali, they have Hindu fighting systems, etc., etc. This is true. But the overwhelming majority of the Silat systems are actually Muslim fighting systems. Overwhelming majority. And the overwhelming majority of the teachers worldwide are Muslim. Okay, there's exceptions to the rules. There's the Dutch Indos who came to the U.S. and to Europe, but they're essentially fighting systems of the Muslim peoples of the Southeast Asian archipelago. So the cultural heritage is definitely an Islamic cultural heritage. Okay, that's undeniable. People may try to deny it, but when 80+% of the systems come from an Islamic heritage, that says it all right there. So that's the cultural heritage.
Okay. Now, what modern-day systems have influenced the development of Street Lethal Kali Silat?
A lot of influence from Lacoste Ino Santo and Mafilindo Silat. There's some influence from Paquita Tirsia. There's definitely some influence from Chimande and Sara subsystems, because the system of Chimande that I was in, Pukalan Chimande Pusaka, actually took a lot of influence from the Sara Tonkat. So there's a lot of Sara influence in there. And when I did Silat Zulfikari for a couple of years, that was also strongly influenced by the Sara. So there's a lot of Sara influence. There's some Paquita Tirsia, there's Mafilindo Silat. There's definitely some Silat Mubai influence. As a matter of fact, I took at least one Lanka from the Silat Mubai system and, tweaked it a little bit to fit more of our mold. That's basically where it comes from.
Thank you. And why did you create the Street Lethal Kali Silat?
Well, the reason I created was mainly for two reasons. Okay, first of all, it was to simplify, and secondly was to structure, and I'll explain those two. It was to simplify a lot of concepts found in the more obtuse and complex Penchak Silat systems that have so many diagrams, so many platforms, so many forms that it takes years to just learn the whole curriculum. You're talking a couple of decades. Most people don't have a couple of decades to learn a system, and they need something that will help them survive quickly. So what I did was I condensed the essentials into a short number of forms and training patterns. And then the second thing, as I said, was the structure, because most of these systems that are labeled as Kali Silat don't have forms. They don't have handset forms, they don't have foot-leg forms, and so the structure kind of tends to fly out the window. You'll notice with Mafilindo Silat, and I love Mafilindo Silat of Guru Danino Santo, there's no forms really, it's just drills, drills, drills. Well, what do you do when you don't have a training partner? How do you train your body to get the proper structure when you don't have a training partner? If you don't have the forms, you're SOL, and in a lot of Mafilindo Silat practitioners, there is, the structure is deficient. If they are not also instructors in other Silat systems like Bukti Nagara and Mande Muda and Sara, then you will notice that in many of these practitioners the structure is deficient.
Okay. Now, could you give us a brief description of the system?
Sure. The system basically looks like, in practice, it resembles a lot of the stuff you would see in Mafilindo Silat, with the more aggressive side that you would witness in Silat Askari and Silat Mubai. And it has, unlike Mafilindo Silat, it does have weapons. It's not very complex. We don't do double stick, stick and dagger, all these things that literally you don't really need on the street. We do single stick, we do machete, we do single blade, we do sarong, because you can always use your scarf or your sweater, your jacket as a weapon. And at the advanced levels, we do firearm retention. And so it has all these weapons, and the movement probably resembles Javanese meets Sumatran Silat, with a strong influence from southern Philippines, or Bangsamoro, Moro Silat, or Moro Kali.
Thank you, Tuan Rumah.
Very welcome.